Kurt Angle's 2000 was incredible. The Olympic gold medalist amassed quite the accolades that year. Angle quickly picked up on pro wrestling and was showing signs of improvement that were unusual. He obviously had a background in amateur wrestling, but WWF was a whole other game. He took to it like it was an easy challenge, and by the summer, it was already challenging for the WWF Championship. His rookie year is the greatest in wrestling history, arguably because he won every major title and in turn became a massive star. His character was unique for the main event scene, and in ring he was rapidly improving. His time was coming, and from out of nowhere, Angle won the belt. He won it at No Mercy in a great match against The Rock. The Rock's 4-month title reign had some of the most exciting moments from that year, so for Angle to be the one to end it shows that WWF had very big plans for him. Alright, with that said, let's get into it. Okay. On the October 23rd, 2000 episode of Raw, Kurt Angle had a huge title celebration. The Olympic hero's business partner was front and center for this celebration. His moment was more grand than any of the recent ones because this man celebrated like his team won the Super Bowl. After some of the cheap heat, Angle bragged about accomplishing things in 1 year more than many will in their lifetime. After the self-serving yap, Mick Foley came out and said he was so proud of Angle that he deserved a hug. It was such a special day that he needed to defend his title as well. So Mick Foley pulled his pants down basically. To make matters worse, Triple H and The Rock were his opponents. Now of course there was tension with Triple H due to her association with Angle. That in itself wasn't developed more, which I find strange, but there was a lot of things different with this time period for WWF, so when you look at that, it's like, oh, I get why. The new champion didn't show up initially for the title match. Introduced twice and preferred to make them wait. These two were like this throughout the whole commercial break. I know they weren't. But they made sure to show Angle just how upset they were with him. Very hot and intense match here, with the core of it being about Angle struggling to adjust next to two of the WWF's best wrestlers. He was pushed to Rock to Triple H, and the champion had to use the ring bell to find an opening. Stephanie was starting to make her presence felt just like No Mercy, and Angle had him beat with the Angle Slam, but because of Triple H being taken out, the ref took too long. The taste of WWF gold was far too valuable to give up, and Triple H, with all the intensity and a broken body, came back. The action got chaotic and Angle had to use the belt to find an opening. Rikishi ran in there and Angle made a run for it. All of a sudden, Stone Cold came in and whooped Rikishi's ass. So Angle thought it was his moment to shine and show who's the top dog, but it was Austin who won this battle, putting his name back in title contention for the first time since his return. I always loved Angle's self, the stunner, the one knee and he flies a bit before collapsing. It's good stuff. A decent match. This should have been the Survivor Series main event again, but Rikishi flopped as a heel and it was not the right decision at the time, and low-key, they should have done a sequel. I get why they moved on because of Rikishi, and it was not the right decision at the time, and quickly they had to rush in Triple H. Only 3 days after defending the title, Angle once again had to put it up on the line against Chris Jericho. He was enraged over Y2J being the opponent. This is a very short match that mostly established Chris Jericho's next story. The feeling of anything can happen was still in the air here, but it was one of those nights where they shut down the fans' hopes. Kane cost him the title because of a cup of coffee and one of the most random storylines. That's what it was. This is one of my favorite segments from this year. Triple H got all pissed and irritated over Edge and Christian, who were busy celebrating a birthday party while Stephanie was ill. The game didn't like Angle one bit and got a match against him, and his head wasn't with this match at all, and it showed. This one was just Triple H whooping Angle's ass like he wasn't the WWF champion, and looking at this one, it doesn't serve much for Triple H or Angle. For Triple H, when you look at that time period's perspective, he was a bigger star than Angle, even if the latter had the championship. I get it's because of Stephanie McMahon, but that could be done with a single pedigree as opposed to whatever this was. They didn't need to have a match over Triple H being angry at Angle for trying to steal her from him. Yet another title defense for Kurt Angle later that week on SmackDown. This one was more about The Rock and Rikishi's story. Angle is just a way to extend and intensify that story. This was the best out of the last couple of matches. Angle and Rock had good chemistry together, and I think that's why they were closely associated in the road to WrestleMania. The match was short, but they got enough out of it. One underrated aspect of The Rock was how intense he wrestled. He wrestled with a lot of intensity and urgency. The Rock was gonna win, but as you know, I'm a bad man had to come out. Stone Cold ran in there and stunned the champion before walking into the Rock bottom. It seemed like this was building towards a fatal four-way. All four men even teamed up on Raw the following week. Angle tried to take out Rock before the match, and it only got worse after Rock had a cart thrown into him. Nobody knew who it was, but it was implied to be either Angle or Rikishi. This was used as a way for Triple H to reveal himself as Rikishi's accomplice. So in a nutshell, the face turn was for nothing. It was working though. Fans were cheering Triple H, and I just realized I third-wheeled Kurt Angle in his own video. The black glove was symbolic and showed that Triple H was a much bigger mastermind than everyone imagined. Oh my god, what am I doing? This is Kurt Angle's video. Shut up. With that said, I understand why everyone says WWF changed near the end of 2000. Their stories were laid out in a certain way, but with Stephanie McMahon leading things, it changed. Survivor Series was a week away, and Angle's opponent was finally determined in a fatal four-way match. it was The Undertaker. Later that night, Angle felt vindicated over Triple H being a terrible person, and remember, this was the same man that was doing all of these things not too long later. Angle had the wrong priorities, and Undertaker had to set him straight. The build for this match was very short and strange for that time, especially for a Big Four event. Angle even lost to The Undertaker on the final Raw before Survivor Series. The story was that Angle knew what Undertaker was capable of, but didn't know how to answer it. Now, to understand how this match is viewed, what's the most memorable thing about it? The Undertaker's attire. He had his bags missing and wore some pimp pants. Pimpin' ain't easy. Apparently, it wasn't the Good Father or the Godfather who gave him those pants. It was actually Undertaker trying to try a different thing. It kind of shocked me to read this while making this video, because it's like, we always heard the story of him forgetting his bag and whatnot, but it just turns out he just wanted to wear something different. This match was just them telling you that Angle isn't on the level of these big main eventers yet, and it makes you question his entire title reign. Like, why did he need to win the title so soon if he was booked like this? Yeah, he had his moment where he targeted the leg, doing this and that, but it just wasn't good. Undertaker was not having the best performances at the time, and since his best type of matches were no DQ, this one wasn't going to be good. They already had a disappointing match at Fully Loaded, and this was no different. Here, Angle was targeting the leg, and it worked for a bit, but this was Undertaker. He had the title won, but a lookalike ended up being Angle's way to victory. This match just didn't work, you know, like, it just wasn't good. It was actually almost bad, straight up. The next night on Raw, Angle revealed the lookalike to be his brother. He said that he got his brother to help to avoid the Survivor Series screw job. The last 6 title matches saw a new champion, with the last 3 involving some kind of controversy. Undertaker came out and chokeslammed them off the stage. He complained as if he wasn't the one that caused problems at Survivor Series, and this almost didn't end well for him, but Edge and Christian saved him and made a run for him. Angle quickly had to worry about Stone Cold because he was the next challenger for the title. His opponent for Armageddon was supposed to be either The Rock or Rikishi, but he was doing things. Now, before his opponent, Stone Cold, was revealed, Angle's trying to take out all the contenders. He instigated something to get Kane to attack The Undertaker, cost The Rock his match, but he had to deal with Austin. Rock retaliated later on, and Edge and Christian were kicked out. The champion wanted to use his wrestling skill to overwhelm Austin, then the best brawler in the entire WWF. Austin's reputation as a ringmaster was starting to become more and more apparent once again, and it had been a while since he was seen wrestling like this. About 3.5 years. Once he deviated away from that, it got even worse for Angle. Stunner and the title was leaving his hands. Triple H made his return after going to hell a week ago with 0 scratches and pummeled Austin. Angle's problems went from bad to worse, with Mick Foley promising 5 different men a title shot. Since everything was chaotic, he decided to make it a Hell in a Cell match. The champion was stunned by this announcement and questioned Mick Foley. The commissioner thought that it was necessary to have this match go down because of how many problems they caused. Triple H though thought it was funny that Foley's booking a Hell in a Cell match when that match is the reason why he's in his current position. All the men couldn't touch each other unless they faced off in a match was another stipulation that Foley added. A couple of moments to come from this build involved Triple H trying to fool Mick Foley by beating up Austin in the dark, only for him to pummel his father-in-law, and the boss trying to protect his investment and in turn taking a beating from the faces. The heels used this to their advantage and left the 3 men laying, so Mick Foley punished Angle with yet another title match. This turned out to be another short match that saw Angle, Rikishi, and Triple H stand tall. They turned on each other though. This Hell in a Cell match did a tremendous job in selling the WWF Championship as the ultimate prize. There's so much respect for the title shown here that it has to be mentioned. This was one of the most memorable matches from the Attitude Era and something that highlights this entire time period in a single match. Chaotic, violent, and entertaining. Austin and Rock even had a huge battle that showed the fans were still hungry for another match between them. It was a war and everyone felt like they came out of it a different person. Angle only won this match because he was the guy that put his arm over The Rock. It wasn't even because he actually won the match. And I don't care if this makes Angle look bad, which it doesn't. I love how Austin still has one stunner in him and decides to drop Angle afterwards and collapse himself. I love that. But even though Angle's run wasn't all that, he does have this Hell in a Cell to his name. One of the most memorable ones, you know. That Hell in a Cell has a lot of love to this very day. And I always loved that one, you know, ever since I watched it when I was younger, watching it in 6 parts or 10 parts, whatever the hell it was, I always enjoyed it. For as much ass-kissing Angle did for Mr. McMahon, Mick Foley decided to make a match between them, and it was for the title. Their egos got into play here, with McMahon saying Foley would be upset if he became a 2-time WWF champion. Angle finally grew a pair and rebelled against the boss. This ended up being a setup to trick Mick Foley and fire him as commissioner. The story was that Mick Foley wasn't exactly the best fit for commissioner, and this was supposed to lead to a match between Foley and Vince for WrestleMania 17. McMahon's storyline didn't have full power until this night, so that's why it took him that long to fire him. Before Angle's next title defense, he was mostly with Edge and Christian, costing contenders like The Rock their matches. But a segment with Stone Cold opened way for his next challenger. Now, heading into this one, looking at it, they made it seem like Angle's luck was gonna run out. Plenty of time for this match, which was unusual for Angle's previous TV title defenses. Great feeling in the air for this one, but then again, this is Stone Cold in a main event match for the WWF Championship. He's gonna have a good crowd regardless. Regal interfered and got dealt with. Angle starting to drown with this challenge, and as good as this match was, it turned out to be even better with different dynamics. Angle's the face and Austin as the heel. He always dug himself out of holes, but this one seemed too deep. Austin with the stunner, but yet again, Triple H screwed Austin out of the title. The game had his eyes set on the title, even with Austin looming, and he was the next challenger at the Royal Rumble. He was annoyed over Triple H ruining his moment and that he had him beat. Yeah, alright. Angle already had Stephanie as his manager in the past, but now he was going with Trish Stratus. This made his story with Triple H have a side plot that would develop to become a major part of the McMahon and Shane story for WrestleMania 17. The game mostly treated Angle like an afterthought and said he was the reason why Angle is still the champion. It was clear that Stone Cold was more of his focus, which kind of shows you how Angle was booked during this time period, and Triple H didn't interact much with Angle. He even watched him get pinned by Stone Cold, proving his point once again that if it wasn't for him on 2 occasions, Austin would be the WWF champion. The core of the story was about Stephanie and Trish. Triple H and Angle was in the background, and with that said, their match at the Rumble was good. Angle wrestled as the face, and it was an easy choice seeing as he didn't have somebody ran over and try to kill his own competition. Triple H was a workhorse during this time period, and one of his strongest attributes was his selling. He sold well later on, but here he was at his very best. Angle was a smaller guy, but he had no problem jumping around for him like he was the Undertaker. The game dominated using dirty tactics and slowed down the pace. Dissecting that left leg was basically his way to winning the title. This match gave everyone a glimpse into how Kurt Angle would work as a face, and the funny part, it wasn't even close to how good he was later that year. Woman drama unfolds, and as expected, Triple H had the match won when Stone Cold came in and cost him the title. Good match. Triple H could do no wrong at this point. I think it's funny because both men benefited a lot from each other's offense. He sold like crazy and was very fast in ring, and it had a lot to do with his size. He looked huge, but he maintained himself to a point that would allow for him to wrestle as he did. Even after retaining, Angle was bothered over Triple H complaining and refusing to give him credit over actually winning the match. He questioned his talent, saying he always needs a weapon to get the upper hand, and that feud fizzled out, but Angle was still getting himself in title matches. His next opponent was Kane. This was a punishment after Trish Stratus got hurt in a mixed tag team match with Triple H. Kane was starting to turn face again after a bit, and I don't have much to say about this one. You know, to be honest with you, there's not much to say about it. It just happened. Rikishi and Haku attacked The Undertaker and Kane to give Kurt Angle the win. His next contender was the same man that he won the title from. The Olympic hero got humbled by The Rock, who called him all kinds of things, and you know how Rock is. He calls him a bug-eyed, milk-drinking weirdo who doesn't like pie, and Rock showed a goofy pizza commercial Angle did in the past. And the funny part about this commercial is that it was well known in Pittsburgh. You know, it was a local pizzeria, so this was the first time it was revealed to the world. It was a funny segment. Big Show ended up attacking him to give himself a better chance at the title shot, and Rock had to work hard to get it, but Triple H politicked his way into the match. This was pretty similar to their last match, but this time Austin was watching from ringside. He couldn't touch Triple H because of the rule, but it wasn't going to affect him. If anything, it was going to hurt Triple H. He screwed him over with a fast count, and with plenty of issues ahead of No Way Out, The Rock and Kurt Angle had to team up. Rock was yet to be the #1 contender, but it was becoming more clear. Big Show once again went after Rock, but even then Angle won this with Austin's lack of help for his partner. Angle wasn't interested in facing the Great One or the Big Show, but when it came down to it, he seemed more bothered by Big Show. This was a weird time because Big Show just came back from OVW, got replaced by Stevie Richards and No Mercy. Now they like him again. They're like, you're too fat, go to OVW. Comes back, returns, gets a super push for all of 3 weeks, then goes back to the hardcore division. It was random. On the final SmackDown before No Way Out, Kurt Angle had one more segment to talk about his big title match. He mentioned how he was the underdog heading into it and said a bad word. He doesn't talk like that often. He's like The Rock saying tick-tock. Well, tick-tock my ass is what he said about The Rock, who told him his title reign is running out of time. Angle trashed Rock's song with Slick Rick, and he couldn't believe there was people that actually enjoyed it. The champion acted like the real meaning of pie wasn't known to everyone, and since Rock was not a good singer nor performer, he played his own song. It was just like that Eddie Guerrero Titantron where he's beating up Rey Mysterio. Angle said that they both have a different idea of how No Way Out is gonna go, but it's gonna go his way. The WWF champion upped the intensity and matched Rock's energy ahead of No Way Out. This was the most intense Angle looked probably ever. He was very confident seeing as they're in Las Vegas, a city with the most losers, and The Rock stood no chance. The winner of this match was going to face Stone Cold for the WWF Championship at WrestleMania 17. The Rock was starting to become a mainstay at the top of WrestleMania and wanted to ensure it happened for the 3rd time. Angle, while he had the gold, was somewhat resentful and jealous of how much admiration the fans have for the Grey One. He masked this with the fact that not only was he the champion, but that the fans couldn't see what was in front of them. The Rock didn't have much to say except the fact that Angle's time has run out. He took the challenge very serious and didn't refer to himself in 3rd person all that much. This match was great. Let's talk about it. Angle was way more serious than usual, seeing as WrestleMania was near, and he was more driven and determined to get to Houston as the champion. Rock was overwhelmed during the match with Angle picking his leg, and when it looks like the match is coming to an end, Big Show comes in. He dropped everyone and left. Again, this Big Show push was so random, I don't even remember this. Both men at this point didn't care about the rules, and Angle from out of nowhere just locked in the ankle lock. He had a tight grip and was threatening to break his damn ankle. The Rock was on the verge of tapping out, and even when he escaped, he couldn't string something together. Angle got too overzealous, and the Grey One hit the People's Elbow. 1, 2, Angle kicks out. This was very rare to see someone kick out of the People's Elbow. Angle gave everyone doubts about The Rock with a push into the exposed turnbuckle on the Angle Slam. 1, 2, no. He found himself running into it and walked into the Rock bottom. 1, 2, no. Earl Hebner botched the count and Rock wanted to kill him. He was actually pissed, so he did it again. Rock bottom. 1, 2, 3, new champion. The Rock was now the WWF champion for the 5th time, and the weirdest fact about this title reign per Angle's is that it was the longest since Shawn Michaels's in 1997. Angle's reign was 126 days, with The Rock's previous one being 119. So that ended. Angle was crying after the match in tears about how The Rock beat him and whatnot. He was off to feud with Chris Benoit for WrestleMania 17. Alright, with that said, Angle's title reign was very mixed. When you look at the previous title reigns in the Attitude Era, barring the big shows, all the champions that held the gold held it for a reason. It's like they're here to stay and whatnot. You did feel that somewhat, but at the same time, he was always going to be a transitional champion with the way they were booking him from day one. Him as the character and as a wrestler did no wrong here. Obviously, I didn't like the Survivor Series match with The Undertaker. I didn't think it was good. Other than that, everything here was solid to good. The problem is, when you look at his title reign, it felt like, oh, he's gonna lose it eventually. It's not like, oh, he's here to stay. The best parts of it were actually near the end, when he started to become more aggressive towards The Rock and debuted the Angle Lock. Other than that, some stuff was strange with WWF at the time. They weren't booking as well as they once did because a lot of their stories were abandoned. Angle's Stephanie was just phased out like that. There wasn't no mention of it. She just abandoned him like that. It's very strange, and it's like, hey, if it was the previous guy's booking, they would actually bring out a resolution for that, but they didn't. Other than that, Angle did have some great matches here. He showed that he had what it takes to be a good champion, but they needed to have him become way more aggressive in the future. Because here, when he turned up as he did at No Way Out, he looked very great as a character. In ring, he had no problems previously, but as his character in ring here, he felt like someone that belonged with The Rock. That's what made it so good. Alright, what you guys say of current Angle's title reign? Please comment down below, and that's it for this video. Make sure you hit the Angle segment like button, and perhaps the Angle lock on the subscribe button. Peace, I'm out.